Human beings have lost the art of picking up on thought, and these animals they're past masters at it.
Pepsi's actually got an amazing sense of direction, in the sense that on at least 16 occasions to my memory, she's escaped from my house, my parents and my sisters, and arrived at different people's houses that I know in Leicester and Leicestershire, never being walked there in her life before, only being taken by car maybe on 1 or 2 occasions.
One of the mysterious powers that pets have is their ability to find their way home, or in a more general sense, know where things are. It's a sense of direction. This undoubtedly comes from their wild ancestry. So this is something deeply embedded in animal nature, and it's not understood in pets or even in the most studied organisms like homing pigeons.
She hates being on her own, and I give her as much attention as I possibly can. And I think the only reason I can give for her wanting to escape on all these occasions is that she wants company, and she obviously wants to go to somebody's house that she knows so she can be with somebody.
What's remarkable in the case of Pepsi is that Pepsi's not just finding her way home, she's finding her way to other houses, in some cases places that she's only been once in the past. And when she's gone there, she hasn't even walked there in some cases, she's been taken by car. So this is a very remarkable example of a dog with a strongly developed sense of direction.
To discover how Pepsi makes her journeys, Rupert devised a simple experiment. She was taken very early one morning to a place she'd never been to before, about 2 miles from her home in Leicester. This satellite receiver, which was strapped to her back, would record the Ordnance Survey coordinates as she went, and so give a fairly accurate picture of her route.
I was very confident that Pepsi knew where she was going to go at the end of the day, although I didn't know where she was going to turn up.
Jan Fennell has 7 dogs. Since owning one as a child, Jan believes that animals are telepathic.
With these, they tend to know. If I'm going to walk them, they are wound up, excited, running around, making a noise, really generally letting me know they're ready.
Jan has agreed to take part in an experiment designed by Rupert to see whether her dogs are telepathic. She placed a video camera in her conservatory and locked the dogs inside for quite a few hours each day, while she remained in a different part of the house, out of sight. At random times throughout each day, Jan thought about taking the dogs for a walk. After 10 minutes of just thinking about it, she would actually take them. The video recording of their behaviour during these 10 minutes could then be observed.
You're going to get too big-headed, aren't you, eh? Because you're right again. One time I was upstairs putting some curtains up when I decided to take them for a walk. Had checked them beforehand, all fast asleep. As I came down the stairs, I could hear them. I didn't have to look. I could hear them making a racket.
In 5 out of the 7 tests, Jan felt that her dogs had definitely reacted to her thoughts.
What Jan's experiments show from the video recording is that the dogs don't get excited when she's not planning to take them for a walk. But when she is planning to take them for a walk, even though they can't see her, even though she's in another part of the house watching the television, for example, they seem to anticipate her intention.
4 hours after being dropped off, Pepsi was discovered at Clive's sister's house, which was about 1.5 miles away from her start position. It was the nearest place she was familiar with, although she'd never walked there before.
We left Pepsi here, and Clive's house is about 2 miles this way, to the west. His parents' house, where Pepsi's been quite often, is that direction, northeast, about 2 miles that way. What happened was that Pepsi set off and went north, in fact zigzagged around in this area, as if she was trying to get her bearings. Then she went across here to the neighbourhood of Leicester General Hospital. She zigzagged around here, and then, rather surprisingly to all of us, ended up at his sister's house, where she hasn't been for over 6 months. She seems to have a kind of mental map of Leicester in which these familiar places are located. And when she got her bearings in this experiment, she somehow felt a pull towards his sister's house, which was the nearest safe place to go. I don't know how Pepsi does it, and smell may play a part, magnetism may play a part, but I think that they're connected to their home and to other familiar places through morphic fields. These fields provide the basis for connections between people and their pets, and I think provide the basis for things like telepathy, psychic phenomena, and what people sometimes call the sixth sense.
I like to think that I love them enough to respect them and to look to them to teach me something. And there's many things I've learnt from them. One is that, yeah, they know exactly what I'm thinking, unfortunately.
There's a lot we don't understand about animal nature and human nature. To understand more about telepathy in dogs and in ourselves, to understand more about the sense of direction, would enormously widen and deepen our understanding of nature and of our place in nature. And that, I think, would indeed change the world.
Rupert's theories are still very controversial. He's continuing his research and he'd like to hear from you. If you think that your pets have any of these special abilities, please send details on a postcard to 7 Experiments Project, BM Experiments, London WC1N 3XX. That's 7 Experiments Project, BM Experiments, London WC1N 3XX. Have you ever seen something, felt something, or touched something that you were told would bring you bad luck? Would you believe such claims or dismiss them as superstitious nonsense? In our next case, Christine Welsh was given a doll by a friend. She laughed off suggestions that it might have some voodoo power, only to discover that her life changed significantly from that moment on. She tells the story in her own words.
It all started about 2 years ago. A friend gave me a doll, told me it was bad luck. Didn't believe him, but I thought, well, I was going to do you a favour and take him off your hands. No problem. That was my introduction to Shuggy. And it was lovely. I thought it was a really, really nicely carved ornament. And I've got an African head, so I thought, well, it'll sit very nice with that. And then 24 hours later, I started to feel ill. I had problems breathing and sore throat.